What's up YouTube, and welcome back to Homebrew Subaru. In this episode I'm going to start installing some suspension. So what's up everyone? I decided to let a week pass by to try and catch up with some of the actual cleaning and painting of the parts because I don't want to put rusty stuff back onto the car. So I've tackled the sway bars and I'm about to jump onto the steering knuckles. So this is the knuckle off the right front corner, and this is the one that had the CV shaft kind of seized in the hub. And what I've done is just kind of sprayed some penetrating fluid down in here, let it sit in a vertical position for quite a few days, and I was kind of hoping that some of that fluid would creep down into the splines to make it come out easy. I don't think it's going to take a lot to get out, but I'm definitely going to have to whack it with a hammer. And after that's done, I do have the ball joints to change out as well. And I did purchase that ball joint removal tool, so it's the first time I get to use that. And aside from that stuff, just clean up some of the rust that's on this thing. There's not going to be a whole lot that I can do. I'm not so sure if I'm going to even bother painting. I may take the backing plates off and spray those, but just get off some of the loose stuff and get things ready to go back on. Bigger hammer. Hopefully I don't destroy all this. Damn. Now the boot is torn open. You can tell it's been torn open quite a while. And there's obviously play in that joint, so it's a good thing I got a replacement. So moving on to the ball joints, gonna remove the pinch bolt. I squirted a little bit of lube down the crack there. I just like to give them a little whack tight and then loosen them out. That way they don't snap off in there. I usually go ahead and just give one good hit in the pinch here. And now setting the tool on there. So it's threaded on the inside, and those threads basically have to go onto the ball joint threads. That sits against the knuckle, and you just tighten down the nut and it pulls the ball joint out. So I mean, you got to make sure that the threads on the ball joint are good. And this should just turn down on here. I don't know if it's going to get past the boot here or not, but we're going to find out. Looks like the boot will just go up inside. And now I'm just going to start cranking it by hand. Eventually the body of the puller will butt up against the knuckle. I don't know, I'm not really feeling any resistance here. But I just assume the ball joint's pulling out right now. Yeah, it must be. Wow. That is awesome. What an awesome tool that is. Man, that was such a cakewalk that I should have had that tool many years ago. So I'm just going to clean up the bore here a little bit, get the new ball joint tapped in and installed, take off the backing plate, go ahead and do the other side and get the ball joint installed in that knuckle, and then we'll carry on with something else. So fast forward, it's a few days later. I've taken a lot of time cleaning up parts and painting a lot of other stuff, getting rid of as much rust as I possibly could. And this is basically what's going to be going on to the car for the rest of this video. We'll start here at the hubs. I've taken as much rust off of them as I could. Like I said, got the brackets all cleaned up really nicely. I think how I'm going to end these is get some rust converter. I think it's probably the best way at this point to get a little bit of sealing and protection on what's there. The sway bars, these are the 20mm sway bars front and rear, which was kind of not exclusive to the Bug Eye WRX, but I think the rear 20mm you could only get on an STI after that. So these were always kind of sought after for doing upgrades on later WRXs because they ended up going down to a 19mm in the rear in most of the cars. The control arms I have glazed with so much clear coat that they're like soft. They feel so nice. Just to try and keep corrosion down. Kind of make them shine up a little bit better if, you know, decide to clean them up. So I get the bushings all ready to go on the end links, the front links, all of the sway bar brackets front and rear, and even the brackets that go up onto the car that the rear sway bar brackets bolt to. Got them all cleaned, heavily coated with paint. Now this shaft is actually out of the old Outback Sport that I had, the wagon. I was getting a really bad vibration in the car, and when I finally got the car in the air and started checking it out, it was the inner joint on the old shaft that was like catching and had a really bad spot, and it was almost causing the transmission to hop around, causing the vibration on the highway. So I ended up buying a new shaft and left it in the car not painted. It was rusted quite a bit, so I've cleaned off all of the rust and gave it some heavy coats of paint to try and prevent any more rust from building up on it. And finally, the struts front and rear, they'll be going in basically the way they are, but I have already previously coated them heavily with clear coat. You can see the amount of shine that I got out of them, just to try and prevent the rocks from chipping the paint. And usually what happens is the rocks start hitting the perch under here and the rust just starts slowly spreading out throughout everything, takes all the paint off. So hopefully that'll do. So I am going to try and run out and get some rust converter and then basically just start slapping on all the parts, and we'll see what it turns out like. These are the fender liners out of my 05 RS. They've been sitting in the back seat of this car, out of sight, out of mind, and I almost forgot to put them in. So I'm going to give them a quick wash and then get them in before the struts. So I do have most of the front finished. The front sway bar is fully installed with the bushings and end links. Of course the control arms are on there and bolted in. The struts are in. I've installed the inner fender lining with some new tabs and clips to hold it in. I've also gone ahead and done some of that rubberized undercoat spray all through here just to kind of renew the stuff that Subaru puts on. I'm going to clean up that mounting area for the ABS wire and then kind of spray through there and put some new stainless hardware. Getting ready to install the knuckles next, pretty much. Now I have treated these the best that I could. I've gone over them with a wire brush, and then I was able to get some of this rust converter. I kind of remember rust converter back in the day in a spray can, but if I remember correctly, it became illegal in a spray can. So I have this brush on stuff. I just used a toothbrush to get down into the bottle and was very liberal covering the both knuckles. I kind of let that sit over one night, and then a lot of it became like this white chalky kind of stuff that I was able to brush off. And then after seeing how blackened they were just after a couple coatings of this stuff, I decided, well, I'll just hit them with some primer and paint and see what happens. And this is the way they turned out. So the paint's really sticking quite well, and I think it's going to hold up for a while, but odds are these things are going to just start bleeding rust out you know, back sides of here and stuff. Anyway, so I'll throw these on and we'll see what it looks like. I have the front completely together on both sides, except for the backing plate on the other side. I just decided to put this one on for making this clip. These are actually the factory backing plates. They were in good enough shape to clean up and reuse, so I ended up taking all the rust off, respraying them. Stainless hardware holding them on, stainless hardware holding the ABS wire on. Everything's been tightened up. The factory alignment bolt is in place, so it should be good enough to do the alignment later on, but I can always replace them with some more offset camber bolts if I need to. But just give you a quick look at the other side. Same idea over here with all the stainless hardware. Everything's been treated the same way. I kind of want to figure out what I need to do to get the mud flaps on, but I'll probably save that for the next video. And it's time to head to the rear. The rear still needs a little bit of prep work. I removed the mud flap, the rally armor flap that was here, and found a little bit of surface rust I want to clean up. And then basically just go over the entire thing with the rubberized undercoating, the same that I used in the front. This is all just a little bit of surface dust. It's all relatively cleaned. I've kind of wiped it down previously. The other side is, well, let me go show you. So other than removing this fuel filler pipe to replace it, kind of looking up in here, you can see that some of the rust has made its way on the inside of the wheel well. So I'd like to clean all that up and then do the same rubberized undercoating everywhere before putting everything back together. I've been spending a little bit more time on this corner just because of the fuel filler pipe that was in here, so I've got it out of the way. And then where it was mounted, you can kind of see how much rust was built up in there. And I've got a lot of it taken off, but it still needs a little bit more. And I think the only thing I can really do at this point is use some of that rust converter up in there and kind of hope that it saves that section. And the same with the, you can see where the fender was rolled up in here. It's left some damaged paint, and I've been trying to take a little bit of it back, but I don't really want to deal with this right now, so I think I might just kind of put a little splash of paint on there just to protect it for the meanwhile. But yeah, I'm going to clean up these sections and then hit it with the undercoat, and then plan on putting the filler pipe back in, and then I can finally start going back together. Now it is a few hours later, and as you can see, I have everything finished. It's taken me a little bit longer than expected. You can see the nice hard finish it leaves behind. The struts are all in, everything's all bolted up. Anti-C's where it should be. Axle nuts are torqued. Sway bar brackets and links are all in. Some new stainless hardware holding it all together. Just to go to the other side and take a quick look. The main difference on this side being that the filler pipe has been replaced. I ended up retaining those stainless lines that were on the car, and you can kind of see up in there I've got everything done up really good. I might even give it a quick squirt of some clear coat on the clamps and the back side of those bolts there, just to try and keep the rust from coming back. That rubberized undercoat just does such a nice job. It gets into every little crevice, and I know it's gonna put up with the gravel if I get into it. So honestly, I've been working on this thing all day. It's just after 10 o'clock now, and going from all the parts being on the bench to on the car, I've been out here pretty much all day long doing it. I'm starving and I can't wait to eat something and chill out. Did take me a little bit longer than expected, but having everything prepared for today made things go a little bit quicker. I wish I did those rear wheel wells a little earlier. I would have saved some time today, but whatever. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here and you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.